Next on Worcester News Tonight, it's International Workers' Day. Dozens walk city streets Wednesday in a celebration of workers. Plus, Worcester police have their first day with body cameras, how the department believes it will impact local policing. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. Workers in Worcester rally on May 1st, also known as May Day. Laborers were in the city's Canal District speaking out against injustices in the workforce and in education. The Worcester Community Labor Coalition says with the city's big economic development plans, the rally is as important as ever. Our Cam Jandro's live in Worcester tonight with the details. Cam?
Anna, laborers have taken part in this May Day rally in years prior, but this year there was an interesting twist. This is the first May Day since the Paw Sox announced that they were coming to the city of Worcester. And with this groundbreaking supposed to happen within the next 2 months or so, well, that was the focal point at today's meeting. Xenalink is a member of Funding Our Future. The group is advocating for a new formula to fund the public schools across the state. It's why she's walking in this year's May Day rally.
It was grossly underfunded 20 years ago, and it hasn't been updated yet. And there are critical resources that public education needs.
The annual celebration of laborers coincides with International Workers' Day. Dozens walked from Madison Street to Worcester's Crompton Park in an effort to fight racial, economic, and educational injustices.
Students who are graduating from college have close to $30,000 in student debt on average. There's a huge range in that. Massachusetts is actually the 7th highest state for student debt burden. This
year, the Worcester Community Labor Coalition started their rally on Madison Street, next to where the city is preparing for a $240 million project, which includes a minor league baseball stadium. The group walked the streets with signs asking for a community benefits agreement for the construction of Polar Park and its surrounding development.
We're looking for that money to stay here with good, fair paying jobs, union jobs.
The YWCA of Central Massachusetts signed Worcester's first ever CBA earlier this year. Maritza Cruz is a member of the Labor Coalition and also directs the YWCA's Racial and Gender Equity Division. She wants to see the second CBA signed soon.
We want to ensure that, again, I can't emphasize that everything that happens here has to come back to the residents of Worcester.
Now, while an agreement hasn't been reached yet, it is something the city of Worcester is working towards. And a date to keep in mind that's important, July of 2019. That's when the city of Worcester wants to break ground on this project. Live in Worcester tonight, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
The last group of Stop and Shop workers has voted in favor of the new contract offered by the supermarket chain. It means the new 3-year agreement is now ratified. Last month, workers represented by 5 local unions went on strike for 11 days. Stop and Shop says the contract includes higher pay, affordable health insurance, and increased pension contributions from the company. Some Worcester police officers are now wearing body cameras. The department's pilot program kicked off Wednesday. 20 Worcester police officers will have the cameras through November of this year. The cameras came from Arizona-based company Axon, which is not charging the city for the 6-month trial. Cameras will be mounted on the chest of the officers while recording audio and video. Participating officers will then return to the headquarters, where they will upload the footage from their shifts.
The younger guys are used to being recorded already because there's so many cameras out there in the buildings, people's phones, and everything else. But having every single call we go on be recorded is a big change. Although I don't think it's going to radically change how we do our jobs. I think it will change certain things about how things go at court. Obviously, there's a lot of evidence that's going to be obtained from these cameras, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Axon also sent the city 20 extra cameras in case of malfunction. The Educational Association of Worcester files an unfair labor practice complaint over concerns of mold inside the city's Columbus Park Elementary School. The EAW says the complaint was filed with the State Department of Labor Relations after the district banned union testing inside the school. The association believes mold may be contributing to episodes of poor health, and a survey revealed the building frequently smells musty and moisture is visible. The EAW will bring the issue to Thursday's school committee meeting. An investigation into the possible contamination of a Worcester public school building is complete. According to the state's Department of Environmental Management, testing inside the Gates Lane School showed normal conditions. The agency has no plans to conduct further soil gas testing inside the school. The building is next to a dry cleaning business on Main Street. It was fined by the state earlier this year for releasing a chemical believed to be harmful to humans at high exposure levels. The city of Worcester makes history Wednesday, opening its first recreational marijuana dispensary. Good Chemistry was also the city's first medical shop. The company's CEO says they have years of experience and they've learned a lot from other local shops opening. Our Chandler Walsh spoke with some of the store's first recreational customers today.
Felix Martinez was one of the first people to legally purchase recreational marijuana in Worcester.
Elevate your life. It's a beautiful thing right there. I'm gonna go and just go home right now and just try something and relax.
Good Chemistry opened its doors to new customers Wednesday. They're requiring appointments for at least the first week to avoid traffic issues and larger crowds.
It'll be more organized instead of like chaos, madness.
We have seen other rollouts recently go smoothly. Some of them have appointments, some of them didn't, but it was something that we worked with the city.
CEO Matthew Huron is excited to make this history. Good Chemistry was also Worcester's first medical dispensary. Huron says he has a connection to the city and coming here was important to him.
My grandparents lived here for many years. My godson was born here. My brother-in-law now lives here, and I've been coming to Worcester for the last 20 years or so.
The company has been in this Harrison Street building for 7 years. Landlord Dino LaRusso says he felt comfortable with them from the beginning.
I welcome new businesses, no matter what it is. I feel there's a need for this business in Worcester.
Good Chemistry has availability for 360 adult use customers with 45 appointments an hour. Martinez walked out with $130 worth of product. He's been planning for the day for months.
Physical things for me, like breathing sometimes, hard time sleeping, so it really helps me with muscles, and I just wanted to be the first here and just be excited about the first product.
Huron says they'll meet with the licensing commission in a week to determine if appointments need to continue or can be dropped. They're stepping into the market at a time of milestone sales in the state. The Cannabis Control Commission releasing data saying recreational sales have now surpassed $100 million. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
The first phase of reconstruction on Main Street in the Theater District is underway. The goal is to create a more vibrant space for the community. Work in the area will increase next week at the Carroll Plaza. The existing fountain and colonnade will not be reinstalled, but the plan is to repurpose them. The Better Group and artist Ross Miller are leading the project and developing a signature public art installation for the space. The city says there will be a public meeting in June where the community can review the design and make suggestions. Worcester Public Schools Superintendent Maureen Benenda says she's working to address racially unequal suspension rates in the district. This month, the local group called for her and the school's safety directors to step down. Our Rosalind Flaherty spoke with the superintendent today and has more.
Superintendent Maureen Benenda says the Worcester Public Schools have been addressing problems of suspension rates since she took the position.
A plan for discipline can't be just a plan for discipline. Academic performance, attendance in school, and discipline, they all follow each other.
Benenda faces criticism by the Worcester Coalition for Education Equity and other groups over racial inequities in the district. Benenda says although suspension rates are down overall, the district is suspending Latino students twice as much as white students, and they're looking into why it's happening.
How can we move all students to where they need to go? If kids feel that they love their school and that they feel wanted and they feel valued there, that suspensions drop.
The Coalition for Education Equity released a statement saying, "It is quite interesting and even seems disingenuous that on the heels of a public call for accountability, that all of a sudden there is a system-wide campaign to reform school discipline ready to be launched." But Benenda says it's something they have been working on for years and will continue to work on why there is a gap.
You have to have schools where students, and parents feel welcomed.
She says next year they're adding a trauma team who works with students who would otherwise be suspended for behavioral issues. The school district is also applying for grants to train staff in unconscious bias.
I never met anyone that wanted to suspend kids, right? We want to have safe schools, however, and we're going to have safe schools.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
A local college professor is named New England Journalism Educator of the Year for his outstanding work in preparing aspiring journalists and writers. Assumption professor Michael Land received the award from the New England Newspaper and Press Association. He began his career as a sports writer and has been a professor at Assumption since 2000. Land's teaching methods go beyond the classroom. He's a big advocate of community service and makes it part of his curriculum. He says it allows students to better understand the community they're writing about.
I wanted my writing students to be out in the community, and I wanted to feel like they were writing something that mattered in some way, and that they experienced writing not just as something you did for class, but as something that would help them make meaning and sense out of the bigger world. When does this appear?
Professor Land will receive his award at a ceremony in Boston tomorrow night. He's dedicating his award to his father, who's also a sports journalist and inspired him to pursue his career. A series of exhibits and at the American Heritage Museum in Hudson allows people to learn more about the history of our military and veterans. Wednesday, the museum hosted a tour of the site, showing the exhibits arranged in chronological order. The idea for the museum happened when the Collings Foundation received the world's largest privately held collection of tanks, armored vehicles, and military artifacts. The foundation says their goal is to exhibit the artifacts in the most meaningful way possible.
Telling the story of our citizen soldiers, of the men and women who served in the military. We are also telling the story of world history. We tell the story of the development of technologies. We tell the stories of the impacts of war and everything in between.
The museum's grand opening is Thursday at 10 a.m. The day will include the color guard presenting, a cannon salute, and weather permitting, the landing of an HH-60 Black Hawk helicopter from the National Guard.